Okay, here we are for season 1, episode 3 with Kenzie O'Connell. She is a professional golfer, no big deal.
Yeah, as if epilepsy isn't hard enough. I mean,
right?
I cannot imagine having that knock you on your ass and then get up and still be able to go play golf professionally and pursue your dream.
Yeah.
She has not given up.
Exactly. Totally. Absolutely. It's just so amazing. And also just being an epilepsy advocate, and putting herself out there so that other people can see it's possible. That's really amazing. It was so great to just sit down and talk with her about all of that. So we hope you guys enjoy this episode. Remember to stay tuned after our conversation with Kenzie for our epilepsy fave of the week. Thank you to our sponsors, SK Life Science and Neurologist. We are so stoked that you guys believe in us and are a part of this team. And also, if anyone else wants to be a part of our team, we do have a newsletter you can subscribe to. And don't worry, all we do is send you notifications of when an episode's out. Or if you feel so inclined, you can go to our donation page, which is on our website. Also, you'll see it on the podcast page that you're on right now listening to us. And we'd appreciate any little bit you can send, or even we just appreciate you listening. So no pressure to send because we get it. Okay, here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to What the F. We are here with Kenzie O'Connell, who is a professional golfer and an epilepsy awareness advocate. Hi, Kenzie. It's so nice to see you.
Hi, guys. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so pumped to have you here. And I know we've said this in our group chats before, but it feels like the three of us could just talk forever. So gear up, everyone.
Yeah. You might be here for a while.
Yeah. So first, Kenzie, we kind of just wanted to start with hearing about what your epilepsy journey has been like, from diagnosis until now, which I know is a loaded question. But
well, where can I start? Let me just, day one. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a loaded question, but I mean, right before we jumped on here, you were saying like acceptance and stuff like that. And I think acceptance, maybe for everybody, but specifically for me, like I just jumped into a new neurologist recently and I realized I might not have accepted it up until just like recently because which is a long time for me not to accept it.
It took me a long, long time.
Yeah, I think it really does.
Still go in and out.
I think what's weird with epilepsy too, though, for accepting it is like sometimes you're accepting something that you don't even remember having. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
you're having seizures and you're going through these things, and everyone else sees you going through it, and everyone else is seeing you have the episodes, but then you have them, and you kind of remember the aftermath and the things that you have, like the process of going through, like I have Todd's paralysis, and that's probably the worst part of my seizures. So like what it is it mimics a stroke. So like those things are really hard for me. And I remember that kind of. I don't remember some of the things I do. That's hard. But
I just want to pause for a second because you said something that like I'm having an Oprah moment where it's like an aha. Where you said something, you said accepting something that you don't remember happening. That is that I have chills because I've never thought of it that way. Ever, yeah. But that's so spot on.
Yeah. And I mean, so I recently had a seizure that was like something I've never had before. And it lasted longer than I've ever experienced. And everybody afterwards was like, you need to make it a priority to go in and you need to get checked and you need to do all that stuff. And I'm like, I don't even remember what happened. Like it's a priority to everybody else because I get it. And it was scary. But I just like, for me, it wasn't so much of an urgent thing because I wasn't there. I was there physically, but mentally I wasn't there. So for us, I think accepting stuff like our epilepsy and the journey, it's hard because I think mentally we're not really there the whole time. Yeah. And so accepting something that we don't even feel like we're going through can be hard. And I think for everybody else, it's easier for them to accept it because they see us going through it and they're not living in it.
Totally. 100%. What was it about this recent doctor's visit that you feel like kind of opened your eyes to what's going on or led you to feeling more accepting about what's happening?
I think just how big this last seizure was and how hard it was on my husband, realizing that like I started to drive a little bit more because I was doing really well. So I had about 5 months of me being seizure free, and it was awesome. And we didn't
Oh,
even want to
wow.
say epilepsy in our house. We didn't want to jinx anything. We were like super
My God, I
excited.
get that.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's walking on eggshells and you're like,
Yeah.
don't talk to me about it.
Right?
Yeah.
I've told Lexi before. I'm like, she's like, "Isn't that been like?" And I'm like, "Shh, stop."
Yeah. Yeah. Like you just don't want to say anything like
Yeah.
to bring it up or have the
Mhm.
boogeyman come out of the closet. It's like you want to
Yeah.
make sure it all stays away. But yes, I mean, I was doing so well, and I started driving, and my aunt came to town the weekend before it happened, and I drove her around, and my husband left the truck because he was out of town, and I replayed kind of that in my head after it happened, thinking like if I would have had that seizure while I was driving her,
Mm.
it would have been so bad. Like, we would
Yeah.
have been in a ditch somewhere. I could have killed somebody else. I could have killed her. I could have killed myself. I could have killed who knows? I mean, it was just really scary.
Yeah.
So I think the accepting part was it kind of stemmed from that, thinking like, I need to take a step back and really think like this was hard on my husband. I mean, the process afterwards was really difficult on myself and him, and thinking like, you're not invincible with this whole process. Like, this is
Mm.
something you have no control over. So you really need to take a step back and realize, like, okay. And also, just, I think I've always been intimidated going into a neurologist
Oh,
in the
yeah.
past.
It feels
And
like a
Yeah.
job interview every time.
yeah,
You have to go in with your stack of paperwork and you're like, okay, I've got
Yes.
30 minutes and I got to go bam, 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 bam. And if I don't get to the, all my topics, that's just how it's going to be. But
You have to
those
wait 6
appointments
more
are
months.
stressful. Yeah.
yeah,
And they are
Yeah.
not all the time. People kind of assume, oh, you see your neurologist all the time. Like, no, nope, 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 nope. They are
yeah,
not frequent appointments.
yeah. And I think we've all talked about this before, but you almost feel like, what did I do wrong to bring this on myself?
Mm-hmm.
And
Ugh,
you kind
yeah.
of feel like they are going, okay, like, what did you do?
Yep.
Or you're kind of getting
Mhm.
like the eye a little bit, like,
Yep.
Yep.
I don't
Yep.
know. It's just like it's not a good feeling to go into a neurologist. It's like a bad feeling, and you don't want that. You want to
Mm-hmm.
go into a neurologist making, and I don't know if it's all doctors. I'm not like a frequent doctor goer. I don't just go to doctors to like have fun and have conversations with them. Like, hey, can you take my blood and check me out? Like, it's not like I just go have conversations with them. I don't know if it's just specifically neurologists that just make me feel that way,
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
but I've had a lot of neurologists in the past that just don't make me feel like warm and fuzzy inside.
Yeah.
And so this recent neurologist was like super nice, and I felt like he was more comforting, and he was very soft spoken, and I felt like that was a good thing for me, that he was
Mm-hmm.
just calm, and I need calm. I'm not a calm
Yeah.
person. That's probably why my husband and I work so well, because he's calm. He's calm to my storm. So he was really cool and asked a lot of questions. He felt like he gave me a lot of time, which was nice because I don't feel like they do
Mhm.
that a lot. And
Yeah, that's huge.
yeah, and so yeah, I mean, I think going into him, I felt very like a lot more strong in my person than I have in my past. Like, before I went into neurologist and I didn't feel strong. I felt weak and intimidated
Mhm.
going into a neurologist. And this last appointment, I felt very strong, and in my confidence in like the fact that I like, no, I have epilepsy. This is what's happening. Before I was like, do I have epilepsy?
Yep.
Is this actually happening? Is this real? Like,
Yeah,
is
you
Mhm.
this
almost feel
real life?
crazy. You're
Yeah.
just like, "Am I insane?" Yeah.
Yeah. And then going
Mhm.
into a neurologist that kind of questions you as well,
Yep.
you don't
Totally.
feel like, well, maybe I am going crazy. Maybe this
Yep.
isn't right. Maybe this isn't happening. And
Mhm.
then, but this last time I was like, no, I have epilepsy. I am going in. I'm going to ask all the questions. I'm going to find out what's going on. I'm going to see what's happening. I'm not going to question whether or not I have epilepsy. I'm not going to let them get to me and make me feel like this isn't true, or this isn't happening, or, it was alcohol, or it was a diet, or it was whatever
Stress.
it
You
might
didn't
Yeah.
be.
get enough sleep,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you were doing too much, or
You
it's
were just
your
living
fault.
life.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I've been doing the
Yeah.
same thing since the time I got diagnosed till this
Yeah.
last big one. It's like nothing's
Mhm.
changed. Nothing, it just happened. So yeah, I think that was the biggest eye-opening thing, is just like the confidence. I'm 30 now,
Mhm.
and I know my body, and I think sometimes that's what it takes is like you to feel confident in the fact that like, nope, this is what's happening. Because I think that's the hard part with epilepsy is like you can just randomly get it
Yep.
Yeah.
and you don't know why. And you just, it's hard because you have to be like, nope, I have it. I have to be confident with it. And this is what's happening. But it's
Yeah.
really, really hard to do that.
It takes a while to build up confidence. I
Oh
mean,
my God, I
I was
still
the
am.
same thing. Yeah, it took me forever.
Yeah.
I denied it. I kept it a secret. And
Mhm.
it took, at least 5 years for me to start talking about it more openly. And kind of same thing. Like it was probably 4 or 5 years ago. I had a bunch of breakthrough seizures. My dad was with me and I saw how terrified he was and how much it affected him. And I was like, okay, I got to get
Wait,
my shit together.
was this the time your dad pulled you naked out of the shower?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. Literally
Sorry, we cannot skip over that
No,
part.
yeah. Literally,
Poor
this is like
Lexi.
probably, I
God.
think I had like,
That's not a good one. That's
yeah,
hard.
no, I had a ton of grand malls and I'd had my normal seizures. And so he'd come over to pick me up. I was like, okay, let me just take a shower and I'll pack up. And all of a sudden he heard just wham. And apparently he pulled me out of the shower butt naked. Thank you,
Poor
Dad.
thing.
And then I had another one off of my front porch into like a little rock pile. And then I had one on the way to the ER. And so after seeing how freaked out he was, and he's like
Was he
very
freaked out
just
because he saw you naked, or was he freaked out because
probably both. He probably could have lived a long, happy life without seeing me naked. But literally, I was just like, okay, now I see how freaked out you are. And, I will do anything
Yeah.
to protect you as well. And I mean, yeah, then I got to go into the doctor's office and just be like, nope, wasn't drinking. No, got
Yeah.
a good night's sleep. Did this. Those are the best appointments when they're like, why are you having all these seizures? And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been doing everything right. And then the ball's kind of more in their court.
Yeah.
And because
Mhm.
you're right. You
That's
do always
true.
feel like it's your fault. You have a seizure and then you go digging and you go, okay, what did I do wrong in the
Yeah.
last, 12 to 24 hours? And
Mhm.
usually it's not your fault. It's
I
just, they
mean,
just
I was
happen.
drinking the night
And
I had my seizure, but
oh, I've had those too. But then they like to say, that it was that. And half the time it's not even that. So
Well,
yeah.
and I get it too, because like neurologists need, everything they do is based off of like science, right? That's why
Yeah.
we have so many EEGs, but we also
Ugh.
have so many EEGs without seizures happening. And so then it's like,
I was like,
are these really seizures? Because they're not showing up on this antiquated, technology we're using. And you're like, it kind of adds into like the I'm going crazy sort of thing.
yeah.
But at the same time, like, just because you can't point to a reason, it's like no one understands the brain. So, so like we can't find the reason, but we know something's happening. And I think once you find a neurologist who acknowledges that, because I was having sleep seizures for a while and my neurologist would be like, well, what do they look like? I'm like, I'm single, like very single. I don't know what they look like. There's no one in my bed. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And she
Oh.
finally said to me, like, I know something is happening in your sleep and I believe you on that. And I was like, oh my God, I needed to hear that. Like that you just,
Yeah.
Yes.
because I would be out for days and, felt like I'd been hit by a truck and run a marathon in the same day or something,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
I feel like sometimes when you just get that validation from a neurologist, it's like the biggest, which it sounds like, Kenzie, that's what you got recently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
I
noticed both of you too said that you started to like improve your self-care when you saw it affecting people that you loved in your life. Like Kenzie, you mentioned it was hard on your husband, and Lexi, you said, you saw what it was doing to your dad. And I just find that so fascinating and wonderful. And I don't know, that's just kind of like a cool thing. I
Yeah.
can't find a
I
word,
mean,
so I'm like, thing.
Now I just embrace the grandma lifestyle. But, but at the beginning, I did not do that. The first 5 years, I rebelled and
Yeah.
I was like, nope, I'm going to go out drinking. I'm going to go out partying.
Yeah.
And had grand malls for my first birthday in college.
Oh, fun.
And just did not learn my lesson. I just kept going out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to try to keep up with all these other people. And then I, after 5-ish years, I was like, okay, I gotta finally just, this is
Like,
not
dad
gonna go
cannot keep
away.
pulling me out of the shower.
Exactly. Dad cannot keep seeing me naked. That is not just, yeah, no, I can live a full life without that. Oh my God, the poor thing. But yeah, I
And I
mean,
kind of went the opposite route. Like I was like, okay, we're in this. We got this. Like kind of thinking that I could fix it, if I did everything right. And
Yeah.
so it was like from the
mhm.
get-go, like where to the point my neurologist is like, can you please like go out? Like, can you have a social life, please?
Oh.
But what I didn't realize is that was because I wasn't accepting it, because I was like, it will go away. This lifestyle will end. I won't be living this
Mhm.
grandma way forever, thinking that I could fix it. And it wasn't until I saw I started seeing a neuropsychologist, which was amazing for me because she was able to explain like what was happening in my brain when my seizures were happening, how that affected my emotions, how that affected my day to day. And she was just like, you haven't accepted that you have epilepsy. And I was like, what? You're crazy. Yes, I have. She's like, you haven't. Like, that's huge. Like,
Mhm.
I love how she described it. She's like, basically, an elephant came and just stomped on everything of like life as you knew it. And you just acted like there was no elephant in the room. And I was like, that is a very solid
That is a
analogy.
very good analogy. I like that analogy.
Right?
Yeah. Makes it easiest for us to
Yeah.
understand.
Maybe that's why I just like I understand it better.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you
right?
draw me a word picture, please?
Oh
Yeah.
God.
And I just always associated acceptance with defeat. Like I thought that meant I was giving up on like if I accepted I had epilepsy, then that meant I was giving up on like decreasing seizure frequency. And then like I actually have this quote like on my wall where it says acceptance is the opposite of defeat. And I was like, oh, okay. I just needed words from the Dalai Lama. So yeah, I don't know. And I feel like I still go in and out of being like, this is a thing I have. No, it's not. When you
Yeah.
compartmentalize and try and pretend it's not there.
I'd
Yeah.
finally reached a point where I like truly, I mean, the last several years, I was like, this is my life. And now that I'm 14 months seizure free, I went through this whole thing of, it was so bizarre. It was like almost, I thought, okay, once I'm not having seizures, life will be perfect. But then I was hit with the holy shit, I have to reimagine my future because I just, at one point said, you're just going to have seizures. This is what it's going to be. This is what your life is going to look like. And then once I hit like 6 months of no seizures, I was like, oh crap. I now have to reimagine my life totally differently all over again. Like, sounds bizarre. I know everyone out there having tons of seizures is like, fuck you, Lexi. But
Yeah.
it is amazing not having seizures, but at the same time, I was like, I have to like reimagine myself and my identity because now my life might not include having seizures all the time. I can now go out and do stuff that I was never able to do before, and I have to remind myself all the time, like, okay, wait, no, you can do this. This is safe, and.
Sure.
But
It's like
that
a
was something,
reframing,
yeah, I did
rewiring
not expect
almost.
that. Yeah, like at like 6 months, I was having a hard time and I was like, okay, I need a therapist because this is just, I'm struggling hardcore with just the idea that I'm kind of in this in-between phase of, am I going to have life with seizures? Am I not? And so far it's looking like I've found my answer, but it's been a whole learning curve and I did not see that one coming. Some
Yeah.
people, some of my family are like, "Oh, Lexi, suck it up. You don't need to be thinking about that." And I'm like, but
How do you not?
this is
Like,
weird for
yeah.
me. I've had these for
Yeah.
10 years and all of a sudden they're gone.
Yeah.
And
it's like you worked so hard to live a life
Mhm.
having seizures. So now it's like you're working hard to live a life while being conscientious that you could, but also probably not. But like it's still like a mind fuck.
Exactly.
It sounds like, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
the longest I've gone is 4 months. I kind of like forgot about it, or like I didn't forget, but I like pushed it away. Like I was like I think the day I was like walking and I was like, ooh, I'm just 2 months away from driving again. And then I had a seizure later that day because I jinxed my own thoughts.
God,
So
those were the worst with those little teaser ones where it's like, oh, I've gone 2 months. oh, I've gone, however many weeks. And then it's like, just kidding. Wham, seizure.
Right.
So I just stopped letting myself even indulge in that. I was like, nope, I have to make it to 6 months before I believe anything's working.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's always going to be in the back of your head too, because it's just like you just never know, right? I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
we're seizure free, but I mean, well, you're seizure free, but
Sorry.
Don't apologize for that, girl.
no, you should never
Mm-mm.
apologize. I'm so excited for you, but it is always like kind of scary because I mean, like you can go 5 years, and then
Mhm.
you just never know. I mean,
Yep.
our brain is just it's so weird. I mean, but like what you were saying, you reach that 6 month mark. It's like, and I don't know if this is a good analogy or not. This could be something
Yeah,
awful, and
give
the
it to
coffee could
us.
not even kicked in yet. But
You know how we feel about analogies.
yeah, big
Good
analogy.
company here.
Big analogy person. But I mean, I feel like it's like, having like one of your legs is you have like something in your foot for like 5 years. And then all of a sudden you finally get it out and you had to limp for those 5 years. And you were so used to limping. And then all
Mhm.
of a sudden you're like, well, I don't have to limp anymore. Like
Yeah.
It's a great analogy. Yes. I'm stealing it.
I've been
Great.
so used to walking this way for 5 years and
Yep.
now I can walk normal. Like I don't know how to do that. It's like,
Mhm.
I watch House all the time because I like
Love
watching.
that show.
But the main character, House himself, he had a limp in that show. He fake limped in that show for so long that he actually developed a limp in real life.
Oh,
No way.
wow.
Yeah, and so then he was like, he didn't know how to walk normal outside of the show because he developed a limp in the show. And I don't know what he's like walking like now. Maybe he figured it out, but it's like once you get so used to something, it's
Mhm.
hard to like get out of that something else because you're just so used to living that specific way. It is
Totally.
mentally and hello, it's in our freaking brain, like, and
Yeah.
dealing with it up here, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the wiring, like,
it's a
of our
mind fuck all
brains.
around.
It
Yeah.
is. It is.
We should ask Hugh Laurie, though. Hugh Laurie, if you're listening, we're curious as to how you unlearned your limp. Because,
How did you fix your limp?
yeah. I'm sure he'll get back to us by the end of the show. Don't worry. Yeah, I don't know. I just think just on the whole acceptance piece, like sometimes it's hard when the people around you don't accept it
Mhm.
either. And then for me, I had a hard time with that because it seemed like not that they didn't. Well, some people literally in my life were like, "I did some research and you don't have epilepsy," and I was like,
God,
"You
that's
are
the worst.
fucking with me so hard."
They
Please
walk up
stop.
to you and they're like, "Have you tried this?" I'm like, "Back off."
Oh,
My
yeah.
favorite is when they're like, "Have you tried this diet?" Or
Yep.
have you stopped drinking? Have you tried this diet? Have
You
you
tried
tried a
weed?
keto diet?
Yeah.
What about a keto diet? And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Have you tried my foot in your ass? How about that?"
It's amazing how many people have the balls to come up and say or suggest anything without, a neurologist degree behind them to
Right.
back them up.
I respect if they're like, "Oh, my daughter has epilepsy really bad. Like this worked for her." I will listen to that. Like,
Totally.
yeah, I will listen to. Ask the questions first. Don't make comments.
That I like that. Ask the questions because I feel like so many people just make those assumptions. And
Mhm.
as I've explained my epilepsy to people, they'll be like, "Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. I just assumed it was like how it is in the movies where because
Exactly.
I don't have convulsive seizures."
Same.
And
I
I
don't
was
either.
like, yeah, no, like you don't have to apologize.
Right.
It's not like I expect everyone in the world to know something about epilepsy.
Yeah.
But I just appreciated like the question of like, well, so what are your seizures like, or what does that mean for you, or what is this, like you said, Kenzie, like ask the questions. I appreciate that so much more than like just assuming something about something you don't know
Mhm.
Yeah.
anything about. I actually did have an acquaintance of mine. She described something that happened to her, and I was like, fuck, this sounds like a seizure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And in those situations, I never know what to do. And this has
Yeah.
happened like a few times. And so like I asked like a mutual friend of ours, like, what do you think I should do here? Cause I don't want to scare her, but I also want to give her information,
Mhm.
and the mutual friend was like, you need to tell her. Like, and so I sent her, just like a no need to respond sort of long text, and I
Mhm.
never heard back. And I was like, fuck, did I just fuck this up? But like, what do you guys think? Like, I don't know what to do in those situations when like you're just like all of like the alarms in your head are going off because like see like signs of a possible seizure
Yeah.
event, but like it's not convulsive, so it's not TV, and so like a lot of people wouldn't be like, oh yeah, that was a seizure, you know.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
do it
know.
all
What
the
do you
time
think?
in public, especially I have eyelid myoclonus, so I'm like, whenever someone has any eye twitch, I'm like, is that a seizure? But
They're like winking at you and you're like, you should get that checked out.
Yeah.
You should probably go in. And that's not good. You need to work on that wink. You probably should go to a neurologist.
jeez. Oh, no, I tend to do that more with other epileptics. I'm like, okay, I know what kind of seizures they have, but I'm watching out for others, like other seizures.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I mean, it depends on the person, the situation. If I know them well, I'll bring it up. Obviously, like, you two, I'd be like, hey, try to maybe check this out at your next appointment. But like a healthy person, I definitely just make sure that they are going into their primary doctor.
Yeah.
I'm not a doctor, so at least they can go into the primary, have it assessed there, and
I don't
then
know.
they can
Sometimes
decide
you're
from
my
there.
doctor. Like there have been times where I was like, I don't think it was a seizure, and you're like, I talked to you right after.
Well, you have
had
a really
goddamn
you have a
seizure.
really drunk sounding voice when you have seizures. So the second you call me and I hear your voice, I'm like, oh, what happened? And you're like, I had a seizure.
I'm the same way. I have that too. I think I've gotten kicked out of restaurants before after I've had one because they think I'm drunk.
What?
Oh
God.
God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I feel you on that.
Yeah. I know people have been arrested.
I was gonna say, yeah, at least none of us have been arrested yet, because that's common.
I actually had a situation kind of similar to that just recently. She's a friend of mine, and I just told her I don't know. I just think you need to go get checked out and maybe consider going and seeing a neurologist since you're kind of going and seeing people just to kind of eliminate. And I go, maybe you should eliminate epilepsy or seizures to just be careful to see. And maybe you should just say, this could be something you could eliminate.
That's a great way to phrase it. Cause I just
Yeah.
kept saying like, I'm not trying to scare you, but this just is what, and I don't know, cause I'm not a doctor and all these disclaimers, but I love that idea
I
of
think when
saying
you
like,
say, I'm not trying to scare you, that cocomes across as scary.
yes, you're saying it worse. Like,
Kind of like calling up your parents and being like, everything's okay.
Yes. That's
not
true.
okay. So I think, when you're trying to like word it, just be like, hey, I don't know if you're trying to eliminate things, but this could be something you could eliminate by just going and seeing a neurologist. Just from experience I've had or friends I've had, this could be one of the things that you could be going through.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's all I said. I was just like, maybe you could, because I was like, I already knew she was kind of going and seeing some people. And I was like, maybe you could go see a neurologist. It sounds like it could be. I'm not a doctor, but maybe that's something you could eliminate.
I like that because that's what we're all looking for, right? It's just things to like finding the
Cross
answer.
Yeah.
So if we can cross off this, and that makes it okay. Well, that's also something I'm gonna write down for the because god damn, I really fucked that one up.
No,
You did not.
I don't know. And I did say, and I was like, you can totally just like ignore me and tell me to fuck off, and I will not be offended. But
Yeah.
it's also like, I don't know. And I feel like that happens a lot, especially with epilepsy. Like people try and do things from a place of love. And sometimes it just comes off as like, fuck you.
Yeah.
I don't know. After I've gone a while without having a seizure and then I have one, like some people will be like, well, at least it's been 5 weeks, like as I'm postictal and like wanting to die. And I'm like, why would you say that? Like,
Exactly. They've got
how
their
about I
kind of-
run you over with a bus and see what it feels like after that?
Well, Kenzie, thank you so much for coming on today. This is just so much. I don't know how it's fun talking about epilepsy, but you make it fun. So
It is fun with you guys.
yeah.
We have to throw some jokes in every once in a while.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you again and take care.
Thank you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
This week's epilepsy fave of the week is a company called Lola's Love. And they make just beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's all about self-care. The founder of Lola's Love has epilepsy as well. And their stuff is just, I don't know, it's just the best.
I love it. I mean, Landis and I have both matching sweatshirts.
Oh,
from them.
yes,
That's a
of course.
self-love right over the heart.
Yeah.
And it is just
It's so
perfect
cozy.
to put on. Yeah. We call each other and we're like, oh, you got your sweatshirt on? Yeah.
Yeah. Or the best is when we FaceTime and we're both wearing it in the same
Yep.
day.
Mhm.
Like, we
I
did
know,
not
I love
plan
it.
it.
They're hard to
Yeah.
beat.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you want to support them, go to lolaslove.com, and love is spelled LUV. They also
Mhm.
have an Instagram account if you want to check that out as well. And just a reminder, all of our epilepsy faves do not pay to be featured. And if you want to be featured, just contact us through our website, which is whatthefpodcast.com. And that's a wrap.